Hey guys and girls, my name's Dan, welcome back to The Forge. In this episode of Trust Me, I'm a blacksmith. Let's carry on making this epic pair of tongs. So this is part 4 of this series, and basically I'm going through in as much detail as possible how to make a set of tongs. I noticed on the Forging It Forward group, which is a really good Facebook group where there's lots of beginners and seasoned blacksmiths on there. Quite a few beginners were saying how they struggle with making tongs, and basically I thought, well, why not just make a very comprehensive series where I go over everything in detail. So if you are just coming across this video now about the hole punching, I suggest you might want to go back and watch part 1, 2, 3 and then watch this one. It'll make more sense and you'll find out how I got to this point here. Anyway, today, first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to tidy up the nibs. So I think this video is going to basically cover a few little aspects all at once, some minor details which you might want to apply to your tongs, and I think we're going to punch the hole as well in this video for the hinge plates, for the rivet to go in. But yes, that's basically what we're going to do today. So I'm going to get on. The first job I'm going to do today, and a lot of people think this is bad practice, but to be honest with you, I don't care. If you're having trouble getting your tongs to sit together nicely, this is where this might help. I'm just going to use a bit of a file. I'm going to tidy up on the inside radius here around the back of the jaws. Okay, so the part that I'm going to be working on here is I'm just going to be tidying up this piece here. Now, I tend to find that this little bit back here tends to get in the way a little bit, especially if you've done what I've done and forged it like I have. Okay, you want to take yourself a nice sharp file or a rasp, and file's cut in one direction, and that's to push away. And basically, just going to take a nice sharp file. I'm just going to take this corner out. You can use an angle grinder, you can use you can use anything you get your hands on basically that's going to help you get this corner out. You don't have to take a lot out just to get it nice, and what you're trying to do is get a nice corner in here basically. Unfortunately you're not going to see this if I turn this round, are you? I'll just turn it around a second. Two hands on the file, cutting stroke goes this way. Now this is a nice sharp file, it's quite an aggressive file as well. Aggressive, by aggressive I mean it's got quite big teeth on it. So each stroke is taking out quite a lot of material. So this is basically what I'm looking to try and do. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just basically modifying that corner. Just taking that out ever so slightly. I'm going to place this on here like so. Also going to try and keep the hinge plate nice and flat, or the boss. Now if you want to, you can get the whole hinge plate done. I'm just going to, bad practice here, just trying to round that corner up nicely. Take a little bit of material out the back of this heel, and also what I'm trying to do as well is just round this out a little bit. Like so. Like I said, you don't have to do this, I just like to do it. It's something that I like to spend a bit of time doing. I'm sure there's some argument to say this is probably cutting into grain ever so slightly. and therefore creating an area where you might get a cold shut, not cold shut, might get a fracture point. To be honest with you, tongs, if they're going to go anywhere, they normally go here. On this line here is where they normally go. And that's it. So I don't think I'm going to show you all of this because it's bloody boring. But a nice sharp file will get you a long way. They're not very expensive files as well. I suggest if you are going to get yourself some files, buy a nice file. This is a Barco or Becco one. That's a little fish one. They're normally orange. I've had these for quite a while. I probably should buy some new ones. And this will cost you somewhere in the region of about £15 or so, about $20. Go and get yourself a nice one. You can spend up to £40. So I don't know, about $60 on a file if you really want to. Definitely worth the money, especially if you look after them. Anyway, right, I'm going to do the other one, and then I'll show you them in a minute. Okay, I'm doing this. I'm doing this from the perspective that you haven't got any special metals and you're new to the game. This is a little bit of it's a bit of a trick way of doing it. It's not perfect by any measure. So what we want to do is we want to put a hole in the centre of this this hinge plate, and in order to do that I need to find the centre, or the centre-ish at least anyway. Somewhere around there looks good to me. So basically I'm going to take the centre of the back of this hinge plate here and the centre of the front of the hinge plate here, and then where the reins start on the hinge plates, and sort of the centre-ish here where the back of the nibs start, and that will give me a location of around there. And then I'm going to take a centre punch. Oh, where's my centre punch? Then I'm going to take a centre punch, and I'm just going to take the centre punch. I'm going to mark on here where I think the centre is, which is there, like so. Now, what I'm now going to do, which I'm not going to video because I don't think there's any point, is I'm going to take this tiny weeny 3.5mm drill bit. Don't ask me what that is in American. I'm going to drill a hole with this, and then I'm going to use this drift, which is made out of the rivet stock. This is just made out of mild steel. It's not made out of anything special. I'm just going to line it up with a hole, and I'm going to drift it to size. So I'm going to do that now. So I've drilled both these out to about 4.5mm, and now I'm going to take the drift, the mild steel drift, which is the same size stock as the rivet stock that I'm going to use to put the rivet in. It's just a piece of mild steel. So I'm going to get these hot and drift this through. Okay, so I'm going to place the stock onto the bolster plate. Using some good forceful blows. Lightly magic punch knocks through this. The only problem using iron steel is sometimes it jams up as it's passing through. Okay, straighten everything up. I'm going to stick this back in the fire. Now what I should have really done here is made a special bolster plate for this video, but I haven't because I'm being lazy. Just using a slightly bigger hole here on the other side and using it a bit one-sided. There you are, that's better. Just drop that back down again. Sometimes the hole can deform quite a bit when you're punching it. Grab this again, and you'll have to send it through a couple of times to get it bang on, but with a bit of practice, got stuck again. Cool, right, heat that up again. I've just warmed that up a bit again just to do this side. I'm just going to lay the drift. On there like that, and just... Now these mild steel drifts are not amazing, and they won't last long, and you will almost 100% have to nurse them through. It's not the best way of doing this, but it does work. And if you are just starting out and you haven't got all the gear, that is a great way to set it up. Right, I'm just going to pop this to one side and we'll do the other one. So why am I using 10mm stock for the rivet? Well, your rivet should be the thickness of the hinge, the diameter of the rivet should be over the thickness of the hinge plate, so of the hinge plate's thick width there, or greater. So I've got a 3/8 or 10mm hinge plate there, hence why I'm using a 3/8 / 10mm rivet. A little bit bigger is better. Some people say you should use the diameter and a half, but again, this comes down to preference. I think once you start getting into 15mm, 16mm rivets, they start getting a little bit fat. Okay, let's get this drifted through. It's fit in there nicely now. Make sure everything's still nice and tidy and in the right shape. Okay, so I'm going to have to send it through the other way now. Okay, just going to grab this side of the bar again. That's somewhere nice. Load that up. Nice, lovely. Okay, it's gone quite well, that one. Just using this heat just to have a bit of a tidy up of this frame. See if they match, which they do, which is lovely. Okay, right. I'm going to let those cool down and give them a bit of a brush, and then I will show you a little trick. Okay, if you've successfully punched your hole, you should be able to take a bolt and a nut and you can pass them through and you can see how they look. Now, I've got a bit of a problem. They get to about this far and they jam up, and they're jamming up on two places. The first is just here, don't know if you can see that. It's just there, which is the back of the nib. It's just making contact with this hinge plate on the opposite side. Now, I'm just going to use a file. I'm just going to take that out of there, but the other place they're touching is just here. But that's not a problem. This will come out when we get them hot. After we've riveted them together, we can get them hot and move them backwards and forwards a couple of times, and that will come out. But we're getting there. We're nearly done. Okay, so I've ground that out a little bit. I put the bolt back in and done it up, and it's only contacting here now. I've got plenty of room on these hinge plates, so hopefully when it's all said and done, these will come together. Yeah, it's only touching here now, which is something that can be adjusted obviously once they're riveted together. So I think I'm going to leave the episode here for now. But another thing I'd just like to point out, if you are struggling with riveting, there is nothing from stopping you getting yourself a nut and a bolt. Not obviously, don't use the nut and the bolt. And remember, these are either shredded or galvanised, so don't put these in the fire without giving them a good wire brushing. Or if you're going to put them in the fire, let the zinc burn off and make sure all the gases go up your flue. But round this off, and that'll give you a rivet head. And then cut this to the right length that you need, and then forge this over as a rivet. Now, it'd be an ugly rivet if you have the threads on. Technically, this is a set screw. Because it's got thread all the way to the top of the nut, top of the bolt. Now, you can get these with shanks on, and if you get a long enough bolt with a long enough shank, that's a clear bit, you'll find that's almost exactly bang on 10mm, and when you forge it over as a rivet, it'll look pretty tidy. It's a cheap trick, but this is what this series is about, is to help you guys through to make sure you're getting the best tongs possible. Right, pretty much just assembly the next episode. Okay, that didn't turn out too bad in the end. Basically, this technique of getting the hole to size isn't perfect. It isn't the fastest, but if you're struggling with this part, if you're struggling with the hole punching part, it's an alternative way of getting yourself into a position where you've got yourself 2 holes in your tongs. Now, if the hinge plates are big enough and flat enough, just drill them. If you're making your tongs for your first time and it's for your first tong, your first rodeo, just drill the hole. No one's going to think any less of you because you drilled the hole, and if they do, well, I can't mention what they are in this video, but it gets you into a position where you've got yourself a hole in your tongs that you can rivet together, and if you use the trick with the bolt, sorry, you're basically there. And if you've copied the flat bits, just go ahead and rivet them together, give that a go. But I'm going to go over the riveting process and the setting up and the finishing off in the next episode, and I actually think that'll be the last episode for this. The next episode afterwards, I think I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the reins, and then the series after that, or episode after that, I'm going to do welded reins, and I'm going to give you guys a different way of doing each thing. The welded reins for manufacturing tongs is probably the quickest way. I'm pretty sure the cutting is going to be pretty fast as well, but I'm going to go over all the details for that as well. I have never cut reins before, so I'm quite excited to do that. So that will be next week's video. Oh, not next week's video, the video after this one. Hopefully you enjoy that as well. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video and you've learned something. Sorry, I'm knackered and I've made loads of mistakes today. Hopefully you can forgive me for my mistakes. I'm keen to get this finished as well, so I might finish this on Saturday, do the assembly video on Saturday for you guys. But basically we're all the way there now, so you can follow this series and get yourself a pair of tongs made. Like I said, if you are watching this and you haven't seen 1, 2 and 3 yet, I suggest you go and watch those. I think that's everything. I really enjoyed making this video and I hope you enjoyed watching it, and if you did, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you are a subscriber, remember to ring that bell for notifications and change your notifications so that it gives you updates of every time I make a video. Down below, let me know what you think of the drilling and drifting technique. I know it's not perfect. And also any comments on my tongs or the bolt trick, whatever, let me know in the comments. Okay, so thank you for joining me. I will leave a link up here to part 1. I will leave a link down here to part 2. I will try and leave a link to part 3 here. And this is the subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, guys. See you later. Goodbye.